Peter. How are you doing?
Hi, Nicola. I'm doing all right. How about yourself?
I'm very well, thank you. It's lovely to talk to you.
Yeah.
Can you please start off with just introducing yourself and telling everyone where you currently live?
Sure. My name is Peter, and I'm currently working at an events company for risk management, and I am currently residing in Hong Kong.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Peter. So, wow, risk management, it's such an interesting time to be in that field, specifically in Hong Kong. I mean, you guys have been dealing with 3 crises, one after the other. You want to share a bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think specifically just being in the events industry and talking about risk management, there is a lot that is covered, and a lot of people are, first there was the protest back starting last summer in 2019, and then we headed into 2020 with the COVID, and then now I think protests are starting up again. But I think each step of the way there's been different challenges, and even different challenges that the market has to face. I think even as an events company, there's just things that we can't do normally, and so it's been quite an experience, to put it. And I'm sure more challenges are to come here in Hong Kong, but we're just hoping for the best here.
Yeah, we were just talking off camera a bit earlier about the protests last year. And I happened to actually be in China and go via Hong Kong. And I told you I went to Kowloon because the people at the airport mentioned that there's no protesters there.
Yeah.
But when we got there were protesters. So we nearly missed our flight on the way back. But it was such an emotional experience for me. I just felt my heart went out to all those people protesting. So, and you were mentioning something similar. Can you share your thoughts on that?
Yeah. So, I didn't mention this in the beginning when I introduced myself, but I'm a Korean American, actually, and so I'm not from Hong Kong. But I have been able to go to some of these places and to observe what is happening. And it's just overwhelming, but at the same time, very heartwarming to see the unity of people in Hong Kong, seeing what's happening here. People, looking out for each other because there's this common cause that they're fighting for. And so when you look around, it's very inspiring to say, and you really see that people are willing to put themselves out there and also care for each other during this time. And so I think that's been, a positive thing to have experienced just through all the crisis.
Yeah. I remember sitting in the bus and finally when the bus started moving, going to the airport, that we were surrounded with all these protesters, but it was such a peaceful march. It was, and they were all just shining their lights. Remember, they were shining their lights from their phones, and I was just looking at them, and I just got so emotional. I started crying. I mean, it feels to me like they're fighting a revolution, but they're doing it in such a peaceful way.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think, what we see in media sometimes is exaggerated, depiction of what is happening. I think a lot of the times people feel like, when the violence occurs and whatnot, that's the majority of people. But I mean, some of them, there's a desperation. That's why they do resort to violence. And, I don't think I agree with those things, but I could understand where their heart comes from. But definitely when you look at the common person who goes out to these rallies, they have no intention of causing a ruckus or violence, but actually there's a lot of just wanting to be able to say, hey, like, I want my voice to be heard. I want people, I want the world, I want China to know what I'm fighting for. And a lot of the times it's those people and those people that even there's brutality and different things happening to them too. And so I think it's definitely you see what is going on, and you see and you understand their heart and what's happening and everything.
Yeah. So how has lockdown been in Hong Kong now, specifically now with the rallies? I mean, there were rallies a couple of days ago, and tear gas fired by the police.
Yeah, so I mean, for us, COVID hasn't hit as hard as many parts of the world. And so I think there's been an extraordinary job in terms of how the healthcare professionals have been taking care of things. And I think we have experience in Hong Kong from, back in the 2000s when SARS hit. And so a lot of
Yeah.
people take it upon themselves to look out for one another. And so even wearing masks, I think, in different Western countries, we could see that people might not want to wear it, or it feels like a stranglehold on their life. But I think here you see they understand the importance of it because it actually helps with prevention. And so that's why people are willing to wear it. And so at least there's solidarity and unity in that way. But one thing, so we haven't had like a lockdown measure in place for too long. And actually, it's never been a full lockdown where we couldn't go out at all. But actually, what has been happening is that they've been restricting a certain number of group gatherings. And so it first started off with four-person groups. And so that was the maximum amount of people you could have. And then recently, they moved it to an 8-person. And then they've been allowing different companies or businesses to start back up again. So, movie theaters are back open now. You have, you have religious institutions being able to run at 50%. And then there's like different, even like mahjong game shops have been able to open up. And so there's leisure to be enjoyed during this time. And so it hasn't been as stringent as maybe I suppose in South Africa or even what I've been hearing from my parents back in the States. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, so we are still in hard lockdown. Our measures should be started to ease up early June. So we should be seeing a lot more of the economy opening up, but no church gatherings, no cinemas, nothing like that at this stage. But I wanted to ask you, I mean, the point you make about wearing the masks, I really do think that you guys have learned a lot from SARS and that experience, because certainly when I traveled there last year, I mean, people wore masks just as a general practice. I think because there's just a lot of people and you just generally want to protect yourself and others if you feel that you might have a bit of a cough or a runny nose, irrespective of what virus you've got. So it was interesting for me to see that discipline. So I suppose that's why you guys didn't have to have hard lockdown, because you were already in that discipline and understanding the way to operate.
Yeah, so I mean, I wasn't back in Hong Kong when SARS was happening, but I think when you look at even like reports in different parts of the world, at first they said, there's no point for wearing masks or there's no reasons to, and then eventually, as there's more research being done and people are realizing that it's better than nothing, and I think common practice here in Asia and specifically Hong Kong is even if you have a common cold, people will buy a mask and wear it partially because the main thing that masks help with is not so much if someone else has a cold that you could prevent yourself, but if you have the cold yourself and you're coughing, it can help to prevent to spread it to other people. And so I think having that discipline in place, I think you are able to see a lot of people that are just more mindful of it, and people are willing to put it on knowing that it can help stop the spread of the disease.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. So you work at an events company. So I'm assuming you guys had to like cancel all your events, and I know you've now gone virtual. So is that working out for you guys, or?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a challenge. Living in this new world of Zoom and doing things virtually, it is quite a different kind of experience. But there has been a lot of positive turnout that's been happening from this. And so, I think there are a lot of people and companies that realize that, man, a lot of internal training might not be able to happen, or there is a need to just train people and see that as an opportunity right now as things are a little bit slower, within different companies too. And so we have been able to see a good turnout of people being able to purchase and be a part of these virtual courses. And so it's been quite a success. It is a lot different than what you have imagined it to be if it was in person, but I think there is quite an appetite for it, and it's been exciting because it's something new to implement, and you see people's creativities and innovations come about, and so that's been probably the biggest joy that has been coming out of this.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you're able to get presenters and attendees from all over the world. So it makes it a global conference instead of just being in Hong Kong. So benefit. And then just one last question in terms of the recent rallies. I mean, your thoughts on that and where you see that going, especially given you're still dealing with COVID and now you've got the rallies. How do you see those two crises sort of merging?
Yeah, and so, I mean, I think when I'm looking at it, there is a closure that is coming to the COVID situation. And so there is less of an emphasis and people are feeling quite comfortable now to go out. It's crazy if you looked at places a month ago or even like 3 weeks ago, it would be pretty empty at these, what you would consider tourist attractions. But within the recent weeks, there's actually been a flood of people just coming and a lot of people just hanging around those areas. And so this makes it, even for some of the rallies, just people feel more comfortable now to go to. Even yesterday, or 2 days ago, like you were talking about previously, people are, coming out, and there was actually a huge crowd of people, I think more than a lot of people had expected. But I think what is difficult right now is that you actually still can't gather in those groups of 8, right? So it gives a lot of the authority just, quick way out to say, hey, this is illegal, and let's please don't continue in it and whatnot. But I think moving on, I think there's definitely going to be a ramping up of the protest and what's going to be happening. Even tomorrow is actually, they're trying to pass the national anthem law, or go through a second reading of that. And so what that is actually China is sort of imposing, or the government, the authorities here are saying, okay, like we want all the schools here to be able to do the national anthem of China and whatnot. And so you could imagine a lot of people are not too fond of that and happy. And so, I think thinking about that, there's a lot of people who are going to be rallying tomorrow, and there will be people just trying to stop even legislators to get into the office. And so I think we're going to be seeing a ramping up of that. I know even the protests in the past month or two have received less international coverage, but I think especially with this national security law, it's something that's going to be continuing, and I don't see that the people of Hong Kong will stop anytime soon, and it will be something that they continue to pursue or persist in and persevere. So,
makes sense. Sure. Well, all the best that side. It's really fascinating to hear, and my heart goes out to all of those that are participating in those rallies. Seeing it firsthand last year made me so emotional, and I do think they will succeed. They're making their point known, and they will succeed in their efforts. And good luck with your virtual events. And I look forward to supporting you at those events.
Thank you so much. We're so glad to have you too.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.